Hi, my name is Austin Peasney, and this is my presentation of an urban farming community. In my presentation, I'll be primarily starting with talking about the unit design and then moving on to the figure ground relationship, the site plan organization, the massing and site context, and then community life for the residents who live there. A large focal point of the unit design was the evolution of the overall roof shape of the units. As you can see in the small image, they started as a very geometric shape, as a very simple sawtooth, and by the end became these curved features. In the evolution of the map building, I was focusing on my site as a student housing complex. So I wanted to have various levels of privacy and public space in each of the unit designs based on their overall development. Unit A is a roommate variety in which two residents are living in opposite ends, divided by a central kitchen that breaks line of sight. Unit B is designed for a single individual working and living from home with separate spaces for office and life. And Unit C is the most public with I call a suite mate variety in which the common core network of the courtyards link up with each other to make a pass through for the. As the units were developing, they were starting to take on this very geometric, very monolithic look to them with a side profile almost looking sort of like a little factory drawing. And I wanted to add a little bit more curvature and elegance to it. So the roofs were redesigned in order to accommodate that. Here we can see the development of the second unit and its overall roof line from a geometric one into one that's more curved and natural. And here would be our third unit. All of the roofs for all of the units were designed with the idea that there would be lots of south-facing exposure so that the overall community could maximize the amount of solar energy that it's generating, which could be used not only to power the facility, but also as a way of offsetting the cost of living for the student residents who'd be living there, as the excess solar that's generated could be sold and then that could be applied to their rent. Here we can see the full development from plan all the way to the 3D massing. Some floor to ceiling windows have been added, and we can see the evolution of the curved roof line, adding that softer touch to the overall design. Shading elements were then added to the final units and the final site context so that the overall resident experience would be more pleasant in terms of the temperature stability of the units, and that you would have a little more privacy given back to even those very public units with full vertical fins blocking the very narrow vertical windows and larger overhangs that actually match the curvature of the roof line going over the larger opening spaces. Trees were added to the outside perimeter as well as the interior courtyards so that in addition to shading, it could also bring in the gardening element of the outside orchards into the central core of the community. As this is a student community idea, I wanted to create these large boulevard walkway spaces that would become sort of central communal areas in my figure ground relationship. I then wanted to add these central lecture pit areas into the boulevards, which would act as little gathering points for the student residents of the community. The final design of the site plan involved moving some of the planters around and creating these sunken parkways so that the boulevard became more accessible in circulation and that these lecture pits became more of a moment in the design of the overall site plan. What we end up with is a site design in which student residents would be able to work, learn, and live in. So here you can see what life on the ground would be like for residents who live and visit the community with these curved pathways that sweep you past the market building onto these boulevards that have lecture pits and parks where you might see buskers or talks or drum circles or various community activities. Thank you for your time, and I hope you've enjoyed this presentation.